How's it going, everybody? It's Mike, here to do my first solo video for the Multiverse Dungeon Podcast channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the projected card for Wrestlemania 33 and what I came up with, in my opinion, as a better card. I'm not very pleased with the rumored card for WrestleMania right now. As it stands, there are 11 rumored matches for the card, and my biggest problem with the card itself is the majority of the matches are singles matches, and a lot of people are presumably being left out that should be in marquee matches, in my opinion. As it stands right now, as far as rumors go, for whatever they are planning right now, Goldberg versus Lesnar is happening, and that it might be for the Universal title. Jericho versus Owens is happening, and it might be for the US title. I think that is just not fair. I do not think Goldberg versus Lesnar needs to happen at all, let alone for a title. So, going on from that, the rest of the rumored card is Roman Reigns versus Undertaker, John Cena and Nikki Bella versus The Miz and Maurice, Bray Wyatt defending the WWE title against Randy Orton and possibly Luke Harper in a triple threat. Sasha versus Charlotte versus Bayley versus Nia Jax in a fatal four-way for the Raw Women's title. Shane McMahon versus AJ Styles. Baron Corbin versus Dean Ambrose for the Intercontinental title. And the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. And the one match that nobody cares to see whatsoever, Shaquille O'Neal versus Big Show. Now, that match has obviously been rumored since Shaquille O'Neal made an appearance in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal last WrestleMania. I just don't think it needs to be wasted. Time needs to be wasted on the card for that match. I understand it might be Big Show's last WrestleMania, but this is not what needs to go down. I am not okay with that. Anyway, also, as we all know, as of right now, as long as Seth Rollins is healthy, he will still be facing Triple H. So that is that is like the gist of the main card. I probably missed some stuff in there, but as far as it goes, a lot of people, in my opinion, are missing from the card. Those people being Samoa Joe, Finn Balor, Sami Zayn, Rusev, Cesaro, Sheamus, Dolph Ziggler. The list goes on. People that should be on the marquee. I'm not saying those people need to have giant matches on the card, obviously, but they should be on it. And so I came up with a card of my own that is obviously strictly hypothetical, and this is also based on, different results for the Royal Rumble. And also, some of the matches that are rumored have not changed in my dream card. Again, this is just a card that I whipped up on my own that I think would be better than what we're getting. In my opinion, anyway. And some people might not like it. Some people might think it's better. I don't know, but anyway. Starting off with the pre-show, the idea that I had for the pre-show is, since the pre-show is 2 hours, And I feel every title should be on the line, and we might not be able to fit every single title on the main card because of some of these other marquee matches. So, for that reason, I put both tag team titles on the pre-show. And that's not a knock against any of the champions or any of the challengers, but for this particular scenario, that's what I did. I mean, the projected card doesn't even have anything for the tag titles anyway. So, what I have is, for the pre-show, I have a triple threat. Oh, also, I have a lot of multi-man matches because, like I said, a lot of people I feel deserve to be on the card. There are some big singles matches, but there are a lot of multi-man matches, a lot of fatal four-ways, a lot of triple threats, a lot of six-man matches. And for that reason that I stated, a lot of people deserve to be on the card. So, first I have for the SmackDown Tag Team titles, again, it's the hypothetical card, dream scenario card. I would have American Alpha defending against the main roster debuting Revival. I think this would be a good way to introduce the Revival to the main roster. Have them face a team that they faced in the past in NXT. We know that they could put on a good match with. And I feel it would be an exciting first pay-per-view for the Revival. Going on from that, I have the Raw Tag Team titles. I have that in a tag team triple threat match. It would be the Club versus the New Day versus Enzo and Cass. Obviously, I will get into it later. In my scenario, I would have Sheamus and Cesaro break up before Mania, probably even before Fastlane, because I just don't like them as a team. I feel like this match would be good, back and forth action, a lot of good spots, all great talent. And I think I would probably want Enzo and Cass to go over here. I think that's just a preference of mine. I think it's time they got a shot to run with some championships, even though they're very over right now. So moving on from that, also in the pre-show, now I think this or the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal would be okay on the pre-show. I would switch either one, honestly. But since we usually have a ladder match for a title, this year I would put the Cruiserweight title in that scenario and still have 6 men. Have Neville going in as the champion, defending against Gallagher, TJ Perkins, Rich Swann, Akira Tozawa, and the debuting main roster, Austin Aries. And I think that match would probably be a good match to kick off the main card or even end the pre-show. Like I said, either way, I could switch that or the Battle Royal to either or. Moving on from that, now this is a match that just came into my head, and just thought it'd be a good idea. They could make it a number 1 contenders match, and it would be cross-branded. The winner of the match would get a future women's title match on their brand. It would be Nia Jax, Natalya, Carmella, Nikki Bella, Dana Brooke. Even though I'm not very fond of Dana Brooke, I would probably just stick her in there, and Alicia Fox, and maybe, if she's healthy enough, the returning Tamina. Obviously, I would probably have Nia Jax go over here. Have her set up a feud with the next Raw Women's Champion, whoever that is. So, that's what I have for the pre-show. Like I said, again, Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal or Cruiserweight title ladder match could either or, main card or pre-show. Moving on from that, start the main roster card, the main card, I mean. I would still have Bray Wyatt versus Randy Orton and possibly Luke Harper, but in my scenario, there would be no title. With that said, like I said, my Royal Rumble scenario would also be different. I feel like this would still be good for the Wyatt family thing to come to an end. Randy Orton reveals that he was never meant to be in the group. He infiltrated the group to break it down, which I think is still going to happen either way. Just in the real scenario, the title is involved. Moving on from that, a match that I would put together solely because these guys, like I said, deserve to be on the card. U.S. title Fatal 4-Way. At this point, I would not put the title on Jericho, obviously. I would have Roman Reigns lose the title probably at Fastlane to Sami Zayn. And the reason that is to set up the next match, which would be Roman Reigns versus Goldberg. Now, neither one of these guys are very popular, obviously. Well, Goldberg is, but not for reasons that you think he should be. Goldberg is not the greatest wrestler in the world, never was. But he's over. He's always been over with the crowd. Roman Reigns would be a perfect scenario to turn Roman Reigns either going into this match or ending the match. I would definitely have Roman Reigns go over here, and that would be Goldberg's send-off, in my opinion. Goldberg would not need to do any more from that point on, and I think it would be an interesting match. You have two guys who do the spear, see who does it better, see who comes out on top. Moving on from that, another multi-man match. Like I said, I have a lot of these to include a lot of people that deserve to be on the card. Another Fatal 4-Way, this time for the U.S. title, the Intercontinental title. Dean Ambrose defending against Baron Corbin, The Miz, and Dolph Ziggler. I don't know if in my scenario Dolph Ziggler would be a heel already, considering that if that were the case, Dean Ambrose would be the only face going into this match, which would mean he would have a bigger hill to climb in that case if he were to be defending. But I would probably have Baron Corbin walk out either way. Time for Baron Corbin to do bigger and better things. Ambrose is one of my favorite guys, and I know he would help Baron Corbin if it was a singles match. They would have a great match, but all those guys, like I said, need something to do. That's what I would do in my scenario. Moving on from that, a dream match of mine and probably a lot of people, and the only cross-brand match that I put on the main card. And now I don't know, obviously the scenario to set it up would probably be a little different if Finn Balor was healthy, never got hurt, etc. But the match that I would put together, AJ Styles versus Finn Balor. Two guys that did so much in the independence, Japan, leaders of the club / Bullet Club, whatever you want to say, at some point in their tenure, have the fact that Balor is on the same show as the club. AJ Styles is still very tight with the club. We had that little tease at SummerSlam with all four of those guys. There could easily be a scenario where AJ Styles and Finn Balor get into it over the group and just put on an amazing, amazing match. Moving on from that, Brock Lesnar Now, I'm not very fond of Brock Lesnar, as everybody knows, as me, Sean Hicks, and Sean Barry discussed in a recent video. But Brock Lesnar is going to be on the card no matter what. And as much as I dislike him, that is always going to be the case. I would just never, ever put him anywhere near the title. But the match that I would put him in would be against the Samoan submission machine, Samoa Joe. This match is a match that people have talked about wanting to see. Another Brock Lesnar match would be with Kevin Owens that people have talked about, but I would see that later on in the year, possibly. You want Samoa Joe to make an impact, put him in there with Brock Lesnar. You know, both of these guys, hard-hitting, submissions, suplexes. It could go either way. I would not want it to be a squash match in Brock Lesnar's favor like every other match except the Goldberg. But in my scenario, Samoa Joe would be going over here, but the match would definitely be longer than 15 minutes. Brock Lesnar would have to suck it up. I don't care what anybody says about Brock Lesnar. He does not have good matches because he doesn't want to put in the work. And that's not my problem. That's WWE's problem. But having him face Goldberg for a title, nobody wants to see that. Moving on from that, I would still have Seth Rollins versus Triple H, as much as that has been building for so long, obviously. It was supposed to happen a lot earlier. Seth Rollins got injured. Triple H, won the title last year. Rollins was on the sidelines. They waited so long for Triple H to come back to TV, but the payoff has to come. Rollins has to beat him. It has to still happen. So the match I would not get rid of that match at all, no matter what. Another multi-person match for another title. This would be a fatal 4-way for the SmackDown Women's Championship. I could still see this match realistically happening. It would be a fatal 4-way, but in my scenario, Naomi would not already be champion. Alexa Bliss would still be champion going into Mania, and it would be versus Becky Lynch, Mickie James, and Naomi. Probably with Naomi going over, with the idea of her winning the title for the first time in her hometown. Obviously, like I said, this is a dream scenario that can't happen now. She is champion already. But that scenario would have made more sense to me if I were booking the show. Moving on from that, the next match that I would have, also the order that I'm listing these in wouldn't be the order that they would go on, just the order that I'm reading them. The next match, a match that I feel needed to happen and now isn't probably ever, would be John Cena versus The Undertaker. But I would have it title versus career. Have Undertaker go in as champion. The streak is already gone, unfortunately. As much as I hate that it's gone, it's gone. Undertaker is no longer has that over him. There's no bigger Undertaker fan than I am. I will say it till the cows come home, the streak never should have ended. But because it is over, I would have had Undertaker win the title at Royal Rumble, go into Mania as champion, and that is where John Cena would have gotten the 16th title. I felt it would have been bigger, and it would have put a great end to probably one of the, maybe not the biggest name in WWE history, The Undertaker, who probably is on the last legs of his career. It's a match that people wanted to see before the streak ended. It's a match that I still would want to see. And it's the match that I would have put John Cena in and not the rumored mixed tag match that he is supposed to possibly be in. Moving on from that, Raw Women's title would be a triple threat. And I don't like how Charlotte has only been losing the title on Raw and not at pay-per-views. I feel like if that were the case, she should not have lost the title as many times as she did on Raw to Sasha Banks. But in my scenario, Sasha Banks would have won their feud. And Charlotte would have taken a break. Charlotte would have taken a little break and come back probably around Fastlane time. Bayley would start chasing for the title. Obviously, Sasha and her would still be friends. And she would get her title match at Royal Rumble. She would lose. She would get a rematch at Fastlane. Charlotte would show up at the end of Fastlane. And they would set up Charlotte versus Bayley versus Sasha. And going into the match, Sasha would turn on Bayley, having Bayley going into the match against her two biggest rivals from NXT and two of the four horsewomen. Three of the four in the match. I understand the scenario is not perfect, and I still think Bayley should not have won the title before Mania. I think she should have won her first title at Mania, but that is just my opinion. And finally, the main event, and this is where the Royal Rumble scenario comes into play. Chris Jericho versus Kevin Owens. Now, this match is happening no matter what. Obviously, everybody can see that. But in my scenario, Jericho would have won the Rumble. The one thing that I feel would have solidified his career. Sure, he's never won Money in the Bank, but he doesn't need to win Money in the Bank. If he won the Royal Rumble, you could still run the same storyline that they're basically doing right now. Kevin Owens just turned on Chris Jericho. What more motive to have them to do that than Jericho winning the Royal Rumble? And going into Mania to face his former best friend. Now, like I said from the beginning, this is a dream scenario and a dream card, and all this stuff I feel, in my opinion, would be better than what we are getting. I feel nobody wants to see Goldberg versus Lesnar for a third time. I feel nobody really wants that many singles matches on the main card. So with that said, that is my dream card that I would have put together for WrestleMania. Again, some of the scenarios might not be perfect, but I still think it would be better than what we are getting. And so that is it, guys. Like, share, and subscribe this video and every video on the Multiverse Dungeon Podcast channel. My name is Mike. You can follow me on Twitter at MikeJC821. Follow the podcast on Twitter at MVD_podcast. And find the podcast on Facebook. If you like my scenario card, then leave a comment, tell people what you think, tell people about the show, and that is it. Thanks, guys.